Act of great stupidity. That's your headlines today in the business and market news coming in from CNBC. You heard that correctly. Act of great stupidity. That's a quote from Trump. Trump launches another tirade against a NATO ally. This time it's the UK. So congrats to you in the UK. You're all stupid, according to Trump. And we're talking about special relationships, etc. And it's like, how do you have, intelligent conversations about what's happening when we're inundated with just dumb news? It's just dumb. There's no other way to put it, right? Trump tweets out total weakness, great stupidity, do the right thing, blah, blah, blah. And whenever he tweets out this kind of stuff, he's always confessing. I think he knows deep down the stuff that he's doing is stupid, or maybe he's hearing the words of his father, or maybe if he had daddy issues or whatever. Oh, you're stupid, Trump. You're stupid, right? No idea on that stuff. But I'll just say this, this really is the kind of crap that he's tweeting out today. And then they're talking about special relationships. If you want to see videos of Trump, you can find them. But basically, he's just screaming nonstop. And I'll just tell you, he's like, we have to have it. And that's in Greenland. And he really does talk like that. Because a boat went there 500 years ago and then left. That doesn't give you title to property. Ugh. And then he goes on. I inherited this mess. Now we have the hottest country of anywhere in the world. I don't think any president has had a better first year than we've had in terms of success. Right? And he really does talk like that. I watch this stuff. I'm just like, it's just so obviously whacked out. And it's, the funniest stuff is Fox News doesn't hide it that much. They've kind of, how can I say, changed their language a bit. So for example, this is from Fox News today. Trump says media focuses too much on Minnesota ICE coverage, right? Man, you're talking about the ICE stuff too much. Not enough on corruption allegations. So they put in the allegation there because Fox News could have cut the word allegation, right, and gone more strongly. But I've noticed that they've been kind of doing this kind of stuff, and it's funny because, yes, it's true. They still run cover for Trump. That's totally true. But everyone out there knows he's not going to be here forever, right? Look at the dude's age. Look at the dude's mental capacity. And the big question is, who's going to step up, step into limelight, and essentially, guys, we got to get rid of this guy. Will it be Vance? I think it's certainly a possibility. And in my opinion, as I'm just going through the market news with you, I personally think it'll be the big money that pushes Trump out. I don't think that is hard to see, because if you start pissing off the really big money, be it pension funds all around the world, big fund managers and hedge funds, these kind of things, you really start to tread in kind of scary waters. I'll leave it at that. And Vance is kind of part of that world. Or another way you could say it, if you piss off, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk together, they can start running campaigns against you. This is where we're at right now. Trump threatens 200% tariff on French wines as Macron reportedly snubs, quote, Board of Peace seat. And basically, Trump, he's off to Davos and basically meet with other world leaders and texting world leaders. For reals, he's texting these days. And he's going to try to convince everyone to give him $1 billion if you want to be part of his Board of Peace, which is an alternative to the UN. So he's trying to build his, world thing there. This is what we're talking about here. Quote, well, nobody wants him because he's going out of office very soon. So, that's all right. What I'll do this, if they feel like being hostile, I'll put 200% tariff on his wines and champagnes and he'll join. But he doesn't have to join. It's stupid. And I guess Macron's term is going to end in May because, you have a 5-year limits. So what are markets doing to respond? They're selling off U.S. bonds because, of course, they are. You can't trust anything that Trump is up to. Just sell off U.S. debt. And I'm actually really curious if multiple countries are going to do this. I think, and this is just flat out what I think is going to happen. I think Trump is going to try to get his person in at the Fed chair. It's probably not going to be Hassett. He's getting too much pushback from Wall Street and otherwise on that. So it'll be someone else. But he's just going to talk nonstop about trying to, print up money or whatever, or want to help everyone, give everyone a check before midterms. He'll call it a freedom check or patriot check, or, Trump freedom patriot check, all the same one, or Trump Eagle check or whatever, something like that. And he'll say, see, I'm helping you. Haha, I'm so great. and then inflation will skyrocket. I think that's going to happen. People will lose confidence in the American markets, and then you'll see cost of borrowing skyrocket also. This could be real ugly, and Trump could possibly weaken the dollar, tell us all we have to do crypto or some stupid crap like that, and you just set up for a terrible scenario. But that's where I think, and it may not go all that way, but depending on what the big money thinks, I think that could be the end of him. He is actually sharing tweets from various leaders now. So this is from the Secretary General of NATO. He tweeted out like private texts. Isn't it crazy? And this is the President Emmanuel Macron, right? France. He's tweeting out, again, private texts. So if you do any communication with Trump, just assume he'll tweet it out at some point in the future. So don't put any top secret stuff in there. And such, or if you are laundering money, don't tweet it to him because it may get out that way. It's so crazy, and this is where we're at. And it's funny because I don't know if this is a new thing. I just don't know. When did presidents start tweeting each other, or not tweeting, but texting each other? That's where we're at. All right, Trump wants Greenland. Markets don't know what to make of it. All right. It's very interesting because the Wall Street Journal here tells you kind of what's they're thinking. Similar to what I'm thinking. They say volatility, higher inflation, right? I think those are both correct. With the kind of markets that we're in as well, I think there's likelihood a lot of insider trading going on, depending on when tweets go out or not. During the last inflation read, Trump tweeted out numbers before the official release, which is pretty lame. And, basically signaling to some people, if you're following the guy or whatever, what's going to happen. Wall Street Journal is also saying you're going to have pullbacks in corporate investments, stock prices, and growth. Basically, everything will shut down, and you'd probably look at a recession. So we'll see where we're at. We're already in a bubble with AI, and then you add on to Trump's trade war. It's just setting up a recipe for disaster. Headline then also today from Wall Street Journal. What a break with the Europe means for the American economy. Long story short, Europe's a major trading partner. This is some charts here just showing you guys foreign direct investment into and out of the U.S. by select country/region. You're talking about trillions of dollars, right? U.S. foreign direct investment going out, nearly $4 trillion. Foreign direct investment coming in from Europe, nearly $3.5 trillion, or actually $3.64 trillion. You can see it all in there in the chart. But just a lot of money comes in and out, And this is part of the business of the USA. One thing that's really interesting here, and look at Ireland at the top here. It says top 5 purchasers of U.S. services exports 2022: Ireland, UK, Canada, Switzerland, and China. The Ireland thing is really, really interesting because it's very important to have good relationships with them, because a lot of American tech companies set up shop there and basically put their R&D offices. It mentions specifically Apple here. Apple, for example, keeps significant intellectual property and it records a large share of profits in Ireland, even though many of its devices are manufactured in China and worldwide. So I think if Europe really wants to play hardball, remove that tax shelter, effectively what it is in Ireland, and that would hit a lot of major tech companies, and that would put a lot of pressure on Trump. This is a big thing. It also says American companies often route R&D activity through countries such as Ireland and manufacture active ingredients there, allowing profits to be booked in low-tax jurisdictions. Other things that would trade with Europe, machines, turbines, components from Europe, right? These kind of things. If you have a European car, that mentioned a BMW factory, but don't sleep on this. I know we often talk about other countries on this channel, but the EU bloc, man, it's real trade, and you just don't want to cut off your allies. Top 5 suppliers of U.S. Service imports. So you got UK, Germany, Canada, Japan, and Mexico. So what Besant's trying to do then, this would be when Trump's right, this is the Treasury dude. He says, never been closer, referring to the U.S.-Europe relations. So he's trying to pretend everything's fine. I don't think it's that fine myself. I think Trump is just really pissing off a lot of people because remember, in each country around the world, their consumers don't have to buy U.S. products. They could totally boycott. Canada does it. Why not all throughout Europe? Hit them where it hurts. Hit them in the wallet, right? And that's what I'm saying. I think the thing that would really end Trump is pissing off the big money. Let me give you another example. This was actually a really interesting one. EU looks to ban notification apps following Grok outrage. And I guess they're running billboards up there. This one I hadn't seen before. It just says, built-in child abuse tool, and it's referring to Elon Musk's thing, right? And, if Europe really wanted to crack down, you could just start banning like Musk companies or whatever. They'd have every right to, and especially the kind of crap that Musk pulls, be it, boost certain kinds of tweets that could incite basically misinformation, violence, this kind of stuff, or this stuff with just, the notifications, the word they use, of, non-consensual people or even children. The whole thing's absolutely whacked out, and Europe has every right to regulate that stuff. And then you have stuff like this, which is really interesting. Now, we already knew this was true, so that's not really necessarily the news, but I'll just tell you what it is. It says, Americans are the ones paying for tariff study fines. The question is, what percentage is it, though? That's the interesting part. So according to this is the Kiel Institute, and they looked at 4 trillion of shipments between January 2024 and November 2025. They say foreign exporters, so it could be from anywhere, right? Be it China or whatever, absorbed about 4% of the burden, okay? Talking about Trump's tariffs. But then 96% are then eaten up by either American consumers or American importers. So you pay the tariffs. And so then it becomes really important to understand this when Trump puts tariffs, say, on, right, French wine or whatever, you're going to paying higher price, or chances are you just won't buy it at all because it's too expensive. And that's not just wine, that's any number of products. A lot of companies, though, bought stuff ahead of Trump's tariffs because they kind of knew when they were going to kick in. And then that goes back to, if we go into this Trumpy world, just destroying the trade blocks and stuff like that, it's just going to slow all investment, and things are going to get really, really ugly out there for all the aforementioned reasons. So that's what's going on. I wish we weren't talking about the act of great stupidity, but we are stuck on the Trump timeline for the time being. So I do appreciate your time for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.